Run away now. That was what happened on the day I went to visit my sister in the hospital, where she was unconscious. My 15-year-old niece, looking quite flustered, led me to the rooftop. I couldn't understand what was going on and could only follow her. Look at this. The moment I saw what she handed me, my heart nearly stopped. An indescribable fear ran through my entire body. Before I knew it, I had unconsciously jumped from that spot. My name is Amanda, and I'm 46 years old. I've never been particularly interested in marriage or starting a family, so I've lived my life focused solely on my career. While my friends of the same age went through life stages like childbirth and child-rearing, I continued on my own path. I have one sister. We lost our mother when we were young, so we grew up supporting each other along with our father. That's why I wholeheartedly congratulated her when she got married. In contrast to me, after getting married, my sister became a full-time housewife, living a happy life with her husband, daughter, and their pet cat. However, an unsettling atmosphere began to creep into their daily life around the time her daughter Emma's behavior started to change. Emma, who had always been cheerful and energetic, seemed to be troubled by something. In particular, Emma would suddenly become irritable or fall silent when the topic of her father came up. "What's wrong lately? Did you have a fight with your dad?" "It's nothing." Even when I worriedly asked her, Emma wouldn't tell me anything clearly. Well, I thought, it's normal for teenagers to dislike their fathers at times. Remembering I had gone through a similar phase myself, I decided to wait and see for a while. Meanwhile, my sister and I continued to exchange emails almost daily as we always had. But suddenly, one day, her replies stopped coming. At first, I thought she must be busy, but even after a week, there was no response. What could be wrong? This has never happened before. Worried, I called my sister's husband, but for some reason, he didn't answer either. Feeling uneasy, I decided to contact Emma as well. She answered the phone, but her voice sounded shaky. "Aunt Amanda, Mom collapsed and is in the hospital now." I was shocked by her words. "Why didn't you tell me something so important?" "I'll go to the hospital right away." "But maybe you shouldn't come," Emma said awkwardly, but I couldn't suppress my desire to see my sister. "What do you mean? Tell me which hospital quickly." I somehow managed to get the name of the hospital where my sister was admitted and decided to rush there immediately. When I arrived, I headed straight for my sister's room, but I was stopped by Emma calling out from behind, "Aunt, don't go to the room now." "Why?" "I want to see your mother quickly. Let's talk outside for a bit." Saying this, Emma tried to pull me by the arm in the opposite direction of the hospital room. Just as I sensed something was off, her smartphone vibrated. Emma checked it and suddenly became serious, looking at me intently. "Who was it? Don't you need to answer? Don't worry about it. Let's hurry to the rooftop. I have something important to tell you." Feeling an unusual atmosphere from Emma, I followed her. During that time, she didn't say a word. When we reached the rooftop, Emma hurriedly took out a bottle from her pocket. Run away now. This. It was the container of vitamin supplements I had given to my sister a few months ago. She had been struggling with skin problems, so I gave them to her hoping they might help. However, the contents looked a bit different. The color of the capsules was completely different from when I gave them to her. What's going on here? Mom started feeling unwell after taking these supplements. She collapsed, and when they tested her at the hospital, they found poison in her system. What? Is she okay? The content of the conversation was so shocking that I couldn't help but raise my voice as I pressed Emma for answers. She managed to pull through and can talk now. I see. That's a relief. I felt somewhat reassured, but I couldn't understand how this had happened, and my head was in a whirl. Then, Dad suspected these vitamins and had them tested at the hospital today. It seems they found the same substance that was in Mom's body. The hospital has reported it, so the police will be here soon. Dad is trying to submit these supplements as evidence. And you need to run away before you get caught. Emma's words made me feel desperate. My fingerprints would surely be on the bottle, and I might be suspected of trying to kill my sister. But I didn't do anything. I began to think this wasn't just a coincidence, but that someone had intentionally tried to kill my sister. However, I had no idea who would do such a thing or why. I believe you. But once the police arrive, there's nothing we can do. Yes, I understand. I murmured as I climbed over the rooftop railing and slowly jumped off. Ah! Only Emma's scream echoed. However, I didn't crash onto the ground but landed unharmed on the terrace just below the rooftop. In the moment I jumped, I felt cornered and thought I had to escape somehow. Emma, having confirmed my safety, seemed to have collapsed on the spot. While apologizing to Emma, my mind was still in turmoil. I was torn between the fear of being involved in something extraordinary and the desire to uncover the truth. So, I decided to seek help from a certain person. I hurriedly left the hospital, drove my car, and headed towards that person. The next day, I visited my sister's house, and Emma invited me in. If we search the room, we might find out the truth about what happened. I want to know why Mom ended up like this. Emma's face looked somewhat anxious. Perhaps she had her own thoughts on the matter. While empathizing with Emma's feelings, I began searching the house for answers. The familiar everyday scene of a place I had visited many times. However, someone had tried to destroy this peaceful home. I searched everywhere: the kitchen, living room, inside dressers, and various other places. And finally, I found decisive evidence that could prove my innocence. This is. Just then, we heard the sound of a key unlocking the front door. Emma, are you home? It was Stanley, my sister's husband, coming into the room while checking if Emma was back. Amanda, why are you here with Emma? He seemed a bit surprised to find me in the house, but his expression quickly turned stern. You should turn yourself in. Please stop tormenting us any further. Stanley seemed to have decided, without any hesitation, that I was the one who had hurt my sister. However, by this time, I already knew. It was he himself who had orchestrated this incident. Can you still say the same thing after seeing this? I took out a small plastic bag from my pocket. It contained many of the real vitamin supplements. These came from your desk drawer. You switched the contents of the bottle, didn't you? Hearing my words, Stanley's expression faltered for a moment, but he quickly tried to hide it with a laugh. That doesn't prove anything. Are you trying to blame me for what you did? Indeed, it might be difficult to claim that my brother-in-law was behind this with just this evidence. However, after he said that, Emma stepped forward. Dad, that's not the only evidence. Emma took out her smartphone and turned the screen towards him. Amazingly, what was displayed was a video of Stanley replacing the contents of the bottle with different pills. My sister's house, which has a cat, had a small pet camera installed for when they were away for long periods. However, my brother-in-law was completely unaware of its existence. Why did you do such a terrible thing? That doesn't prove what was in there. Emma, why are you defending Amanda? Tell these people it was all a mistake. Stanley, still thinking his excuses might work, shouted while trying to hide his panic. However, sweat was beading on his forehead. Thinking Emma might be in danger if this continued, I stood in front of her protectively. It's not over yet. We also have records of you ordering poison from overseas. Ha! Did you rummage through the house? Yes, with Emma. It's not illegal since we didn't break in. As I said this, I presented him with a piece of paper. It was a printout of a purchase history email found on Stanley's computer. He had imported a poison that wasn't available domestically. I overheard you talking on the phone with someone. You said that if this plan succeeded, the inheritance would soon be yours, right? After that, Mom's health started to deteriorate, so I thought something was wrong. Emma was looking at her stepfather with a slightly tearful voice. I was worried and couldn't tell anyone. But if things were going to turn out like this, I should have consulted with Aunt Amanda earlier. Large tears fell from Emma's eyes. I noticed you were troubled about something, but I'm also responsible for not listening to you properly. I felt full of remorse towards Emma and gently embraced her. During this time, Stanley kept pacing around the room, seemingly trying to think of his next excuse. However, perhaps unable to come up with the next words as he was cornered, he sighed. That's right. It was all my plan. His words cut through the air like a sharp blade. If your father dies, a huge inheritance will be left behind. But I don't have the right to inherit it, so I thought I'd kill my wife. Stanley's hands were shaking slightly, but there was no light in his eyes. He seemed to have lost all emotion. But even if you killed my sister, you wouldn't have the right to inherit our father's estate. I quietly informed him, trying not to provoke him too much. That's why I thought I'd frame you. Do you know? If you kill your sister for the inheritance, you lose the right to inherit it. What, just for that? My brother-in-law's plan was far more cruel than we had imagined. My heart was filled with anger and sadness. Then, all of your father's inheritance would go to Emma, right? Emma is still in middle school, so essentially everything would become mine. But Grandpa is still alive. I was planning to make it look like an accident soon. As Stanley's words trailed off, the atmosphere in the room became even heavier. Having confessed everything, we didn't know what he might do next. "What do you intend to do now?" I asked, trying to appear calm, but in reality, I was filled with fear and tension. "Shut up. From the beginning, my marriage was only for the inheritance. If only you weren't here." My brother-in-law shouted breathlessly and kicked a nearby chair. Thinking this was getting dangerous, at that moment, Stanley tried to lunge at us. I instinctively pulled Emma towards me, tightly embracing her small body. Just then, we heard the sound of sirens from outside the room. "Police! Hands up!" Actually, I had called the police before coming to this house. The officers burst in all at once, and my brother-in-law was quickly subdued by their swift movements. "Amanda, Emma, help me. She survived, so it's fine, right? Tell these people it was all a mistake." "It's not fine. My sister's life was in danger because of you. You need to pay for your crimes properly." I pushed away Stanley as he tried to cling to me. Unable to say anything in return, he just hung his head. Finally released from the tension, we slowly began to regain our composure. Feeling that we were now safe, I hugged Emma tightly. She was trembling slightly, but her expression had become a bit more peaceful. Stanley, handcuffed, stood there dumbfounded, unable to say anything. To deliver the final blow to my brother-in-law, I looked him straight in the eye. "You didn't need to do this to get the inheritance." "What do you mean?" His eyes widened, and he held his breath. "I went to see our father yesterday. He said he liked you and had intended to distribute part of the inheritance to you from the start. But now that's all off the table. The certain person I had gone to meet was our father. Actually, when I talked with Emma on the hospital rooftop that time, she told me she had overheard Stanley talking on the phone about the inheritance, so I went to investigate about our father's inheritance." No way. I'll never forget Stanley's face at that moment. Confusion and despair seemed to wash over him all at once. He appeared too shocked to say anything. After that, naturally, my brother-in-law was arrested, and the incident was reported nationwide. He will face social sanctions, and his life after release will be difficult. On the other hand, my sister was discharged from the hospital safely. Because the amount of poison she had ingested was small, she was able to regain her health. Of course, she divorced Stanley and decided to claim $50,000 in compensation and child support. Ironically, he who had aimed for a huge inheritance will now be chased by these payments for a long time to come. As for me, I started visiting my sister and Emma regularly to support their lives. Just as we did when we were children, we sisters will continue to live supporting each other. Believing that beyond the difficulties we've overcome, a strong bond and a